And welcome again to my live hangout. For those of you who've not joined us in previous weeks, I'm Richard Jones and I am the founder of the Entrepreneur's Best Kept Secret. We've been doing these hangouts now for the last couple of weeks, and today's discussion topic is on motivation. The last couple of weeks I've talked about confidence and I've talked about goal planning. Now, I am not going to apologise for saying once again, and those of you who have listened to me previously will know I always say it, these different topics link into each other and they overlap. So there are some things I'll say this week that maybe I said last week and the week before, but that's fine because these things do overlap and they do interlink, and that's what makes for a successful business, is that when they overlap and interlink, they do so beautifully and perfectly. Okay, and that will help you to move your business forward to achieve the goals that you have set yourself in the longer term as well as the shorter term. The motivation, when you look at it, what is motivation? Well, it was simply described to me by a colleague some time ago. The difference between pounding the pavement, looking for things to do, looking for activities to do, as opposed to lazing around all day. If you're lazing around all day, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to find what you want, what you think you want. Whereas if you're out pounding the pavement, you have a chance of finding what you want. You're working towards it, and you have a chance of finding it. And to do that, you have to be motivated and pushing yourself to be moving forward and to be looking. I often look on that statement in terms of someone who's looking for a job. If someone is going to stay in the house and laze around all day or laze around the garden all day, they're never going to find a job. Where opposite to that, you have the people who pound the pavement, they go out, they look for jobs on a daily basis, they're motivated, they want that job, and they go out looking and work hard to try and find that job, and they're more likely to find it. And that really is a difference between being motivated and not being motivated. What motivates people? Because different people have different levels of motivation. And they also have different motivators. Different things motivate different people. We're all different. We're all individuals. So we have to remember that we're all motivated by different things. Some people are motivated by inbuilt things, what people call intrinsic factors. And it's an inbuilt desire to achieve. And that can be fun, because when you do something that you enjoy, you have that feeling of fun or love. You have a partner, you love that partner, and you're motivated in that relationship. Then you also have what they call extrinsic factors. So those are the factors that affect you from outside, external factors. And those factors could be rewards, such as money. Why do people go to work? Well, we'd like to think that everyone enjoys their job. But people are not going to do their job unless they get the reward at the end, the financial reward, because they need that to live. So money is one of the big external factors. Or maybe if you're sitting exams, maybe marks or grades. You're working hard and your motivation is you need those high marks, you need those high grades in order to get a college placement or a university placement, or you need those high grades in order to have the chance of an apprenticeship or a job. So those are more extrinsic factors, okay, more external factors. Now there is another part to the external factors, okay, and that's the fear of failure. What motivates some people is that they are motivated to get things right, to do things right, because they're afraid of failing. And if they fail in their task, there's a sense of incompetence. Now that puts a lot of stress on people. That sort of motivation puts a lot of stress on people. And what tends to happen more often in that group of people is that once they hit a barrier, they may then give up because the motivation isn't strong enough to keep them going. Okay? So, we've talked about what is motivation, we've talked about the different factors that motivate us as people. And one of the things we have to remember, and I think it's a very important thing for entrepreneurs to remember, that success is a personal responsibility. We shouldn't be in a position of blaming other people or circumstances for failures. Now, there are going to be times when you may take longer to achieve something because of circumstances or other people. That shouldn't be the reason for failure. Okay, you may take longer to achieve something, but you shouldn't fail on that. Okay? When we look at tasks, we often look at the demanding tasks and, do we have the motivation to complete those tasks? Well, demanding tasks, if they're looked at as opportunities, and if we link back to what I talked about last week with goal planning, and we set our goals up appropriately and clearly, and so that those goals are set up to be achieved and are achievable, then those demanding tasks, those hard tasks to achieve, become opportunities. And those opportunities, as we achieve them, we gain in confidence, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago. But we're not only gaining confidence, but that builds our motivation. That builds us up to want to do more. It builds us up to say, right, we've achieved that, now then, what's next? And we're motivated to take things forward. How do we get the motivation from these objectives? Well, I've already mentioned one, clear objectives. If our objectives are clear, we can be motivated to achieve. And once we've achieved them, we're ready to go further. But our objectives must be clear and must be achievable. If they're not achievable, you lose your motivation. We need an incentive to meet our objectives. And that incentive becomes our motivation. Okay? Incentives, very often with business, when you're setting up a business, is you've got to get, let's say you've gone to the bank, you've gone for a loan for some money, and you get that loan. That's your goal. You've got it. Now you start to get motivated to move on to the next step. Okay? So you have little incentives as you go along. And those incentives usually become bigger because your achievements become bigger as you develop your business. And achieving those objectives, as I said, whether they are short-term objectives, medium-term objectives, or longer-term objectives, build our motivation enormously. Because once you've achieved, you have the motivation to go on further and develop more. You have the motivation sometimes to go out of your comfort zone. So you may have done one thing with your work here, but there may be something else you want to develop as well. It may be an offshoot, or it may be something different. But you now have the confidence and the motivation to do that. So by having good goal planning, as we talked about last week, which is achievable, it really builds your confidence and it really builds your motivation for you to be able to go on and do a lot more than maybe what you anticipated when you started out. For people who lack motivation, a nice little exercise is looking at inspirational quotes or motivational quotes. Read them daily. Read these quotes daily, and you will start to feel more motivated in your work, in your life, not just in your work, but in your life. They both overlap and interlink. So a simple exercise is if you read a quote every day, a motivational quote or an inspirational quote from somebody, you read one a day, that will build up. If you read one in the morning, one in the evening, even better, because that really helps you to build up your motivation to move forward. To be motivated, some people say you need to have the right mindset. And the right mindset includes all the things we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. You need to be positive. You need to start thinking positive thoughts, not thoughts of, oh, that's what I'd really like to do, but I don't think I'm going to get there. It's, that's what I want to do. I'm going to get there, and I need to find out what I need to do to get there. And when I know what I've got to do, I'll get it done. I will do it. Okay? And you think positive thoughts. And you can do that not only on a long-term basis, but on a daily basis. Same as I talked about the quotes, the motivational quotes. You could read daily. Think positively on a daily basis. Today, these are the objectives I've got to meet today. This is what I've got to do to meet them. This is what I am going to do to meet them. Okay? So it's very important that we be positive and we think positive. When we think positive about tasks, we also have to be positive about ourselves. Okay? We have to be positive that we are in the right mindset, that we are capable of doing these things. Okay? So it's positive about the tasks, the practical things, but it's also positive about ourselves and our ability to be able to take things forward. If we're not confident in ourselves, no one else is going to be confident in us. So if we're not motivated to move forward and do things, other people are not going to be motivated by watching us like that. And one of the things we can do is, again, make a simple list of our achievements and read them every day. Because again, it reminds us, hang on, we can do this. We can do this. Therefore, we can do that. And we can move forward. Okay? So it's some very simple exercises that can be undertaken on a daily basis, which can help our motivation and keep us in the right frame of mind to move forward. And not forgetting that the things we do are not always on our own. We often have other people involved in some shape or form in our business, whether they be web designers, web builders, accountants, employees, if we've got a business of that nature. If we are motivated, that motivation spreads and other people become motivated. And that's really very important for anyone who is involved in your business, because you want them to be motivated to be able to take things forward. You need to be hungry for success. Excuse me. You need to be hungry for success. You need to really want that success. And you need to go out there and say, I'm going to get that success. You have to be hungry for it. If you're not hungry for it, your motivation may not be high enough. But if you're hungry for it and you really want it, then you can get it. You will get it. Okay? It's very important to be hungry to achieve those goals. When you're hungry for success and you succeed in your goals, that builds your motivation drastically, because your motivation is built up, ready for the next set of goals. Okay, so motivation continues and it rubs off on other people. Having said that, one of the things we also have to remember is, if you're striving for perfection, it doesn't work. Okay? None of us are perfect. There are going to be times when perhaps things haven't gone right for us, possibly because we've not planned it properly, possibly because we've not allowed enough time, we've not got enough resources. So we have to acknowledge that sometimes there are going to be setbacks. And for me, there's a difference between setbacks and failures. Okay? I'm not talking failure. I am talking a setback. And when we have a setback, we just reassess the situation and show ourselves, hang on, slight miscalculation there. We need to put that right so that we can then move forward again. And once you start seeing yourself move forward again, then your motivation again will start to build, because you will see that you had a slight setback but not a failure. And then you start to move again. And it's very important that you see yourself starting to move and become more motivated and confident in what you're doing. We talked about reassessing when you hit a setback, but we need to reassess as we go through. We talked about this last week with the goal planning. You set times when you reassess, so that if you need to adjust things, you can. Or you sit there and say, hey, look, I've got that. I've succeeded in that. Look how well I've done. Look how well we've done as a company. Let's move forward now. Let's take it to the next step. We have to be positive. Now, all this is hard work. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It's hard work, it's time consuming, and there is no question that when you're building a business, it's hard work. You have to look after yourself. You have to look after your own health. Okay? You cannot keep going 24 hours a day. You have to take breaks. You have to take a break at regular times. Because if you don't, you'll find that you won't feel well. You'll find that your health will deteriorate. And then that knocks your motivation as well. So you take a break and then you start again. Okay, so through the day, don't forget, you need your breaks as you're achieving your goals through the day. If you're like me and you're in a job that you enjoy, motivation becomes natural because you're really enjoying it. And many people who become entrepreneurs come into this role because it's a job that they want to do. It's an area that they enjoy working in. That in itself will give you a substantial amount of motivation. And that will help you move things forward in a big way. And once you get that motivation, it's important you don't lose it. So it's important to have a good number of people around you who are motivated people, who are positive people, not people who are going to keep putting you down, but people who are going to be realistic, but they're going to keep you motivated. They know where you're coming from, They know what you're achieving. They know what you can achieve. So it's very important that you have positive people around you. And also keep your area where you work in positive. You know, it could be the background on your computer. Make sure it's a positive background, not a downbeat background. Because that in itself, if you're working on a computer for a few hours, you don't want to be looking at something that's going to keep your motivation down. You want something that's going to keep you motivated. So make sure it's something that motivates you. Again, we're all different. So what you put on there has to suit you. Okay? As you progress through your business, you will continually learn. Because, as I said earlier, none of us are perfect. There are things we're not going to know. We're going to have to go and find out. You're going to learn. And as you learn more, your motivation increases. It's automatic. It happens all the time. As we learn more in any field, whether it's in work, whether it's in our personal lives, we become more motivated. Our motivation increases all the time. And that's very important, to acknowledge that we don't know everything, but we can learn more. And we can build our motivation up to keep us going. It's very important that we don't compare ourselves to other people. With some businesses, so that they can assess where they are quality-wise, quality management, you often hear the term benchmarking, where people will benchmark against another company. In this business, as entrepreneurs, that's not needed. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. Just look at yourself. Look at where you were 6 months ago. Look at where you are now. And that's the sort of comparison you should be doing. Okay, so don't compare yourself to someone else. That someone else may be doing the job for years longer than yourself. And they may have skills in one area, and you may have skills in another area. So it's almost impossible to compare properly and fairly, because everyone is different. And sometimes the people who you work with may just prefer to work with you than to work with them, or vice versa. So comparing yourselves to other people doesn't work. And all that will do is demotivate you. And what we're looking at is to motivate, and to keep our motivation as high as possible. Because without motivation, we can't continue. We can't succeed. So, I mentioned earlier that if you're motivated, you're more likely to motivate others around you. And that's a fact. Okay? And you will have gone through a process to get that motivation, to learn more in developing your business and things about the business and about the things that you didn't know before. Maybe you know enough about your business, but hey, you've got marketing, you've got accountancy, you've got a website, yeah? Lots of things that you could be learning. One of the things that you need to be doing is helping others. Let's not forget, we all need some help at some point. And when I get help of other people, of my coach and other people, then I get motivated. And hopefully I'm helping other people as well. Because that's what I want to do. I want to help people develop their business. I want to see people having successful businesses. Because that's what they want. That's what they're capable of doing. That's what you are capable of doing. And that is what I want to see. Is see you having a successful business. And I already know that some of you are developing really well and are doing very well. And that is really, really good. So we need to keep our positive thoughts, because our positive thoughts develop into positive habits. If we concentrate for a few weeks and start thinking positive thoughts. Give it a few weeks, sometimes less, sometimes a little more, but usually a few weeks. You start to think positive thoughts naturally. Becomes a habit. And that's what we're looking for. Because as the positive thoughts become a habit, so your motivation becomes a habit. It's there, it's natural. And when it dips a little bit, those positive thoughts that you were thinking are there to build it back up. So that you've got that motivation to continue with the business that you're developing. Things that may knock your motivation include a lack of confidence. If you don't have confidence, motivation is very difficult because you think you can't do anything. You've got to believe that you can succeed. Okay, so it's very important. So to counteract that confidence, think positive thoughts. Look and read the inspirational quotes on a regular basis. Have positive people around you. Goal plan effectively, because you will continually achieve. And that will all build up your motivation. A lack of focus, not knowing what you want. And if you don't know what you want, how can you be motivated to get there? You can't. You can't be motivated. You can't be confident to get in there. You can't measure that you've got there. You don't know when you've got there. And when you don't know where you're going, lack of direction, you're not motivated. There's no motivation there. So you have to be focused. And I just mentioned the other word of direction. So to focus on the tasks to be done, but you have to know where you're going. So you focus on the tasks on a daily basis, but you have to focus on your direction, which is your long-term goal, your mission statement, if you like, of where you want to be at the end. And even at the end, you won't have got there, because we all, when we get there, actually, we found somewhere else to go after, to develop even further. So you're always looking to move forward, you're always looking to develop, but you have to have direction in order to be able to do that. So having direction is very important. And I'm going to go back on a statement that I made earlier. Goals have to be achievable. We talked about this last week. Very, very important that goals are achievable. If they're not, you won't achieve them. And if you don't achieve them, you don't get motivated. And you will give up. Okay? So it's very important. Those are the sorts of things that demotivate you. Lack of confidence, lack of focus, lack of direction, and lack of satisfaction or achievement because you haven't achieved your goals. Okay? A couple of comments have come in, which are really good. One comment that's come in is positive thoughts are really important. It's vital to keep going, to have positive thoughts. We all get knockbacks sometimes. I'm going to lay cards on the table tonight. I've had a difficult weekend. It's been a difficult weekend. Today's been difficult. But I've got to think positively, and I am thinking positively, and I am motivated. So, you know, I can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. Start thinking those positive thoughts, and you will move forward. You will achieve, and you will become motivated. And that motivation, it's like a vicious circle. Your confidence and your motivation reinforce each other. And that really keeps you on a high to say, hey, I'm going to achieve what I aim to achieve. And that is really good, really important. And another comment that's come in. I'm a perfectionist and I have the fear of not being perfect and failing. None of us are perfect, okay? We are human beings, okay? And that is fine, that is okay. There is nothing wrong with that, okay? I've come into this business, lots of experience over the years, but I've come into this business. I have a coach because I don't know it all. Far from it. I don't know it all, but I know enough to be able to help other people, coach other people. But we continue to learn. I have a very simple philosophy in life that the day I stop learning is the day I won't be here, because we will learn throughout our lives. So don't be afraid to say, hang on, I don't know what that is. I'm not sure about that. And, you know, I know a number of people who are perfectionists, and I've worked with them and supported them to realize that, you know, there will come a time when maybe they hit something that they're not sure of, but there is someone there who can help you. And always believe there is someone there who can help you. So it won't demotivate you. It's just a simple case of accepting I need a bit of help to get over the next hurdle. Once I get that help, I'll be over, I'll be away again. The other problem with perfectionism, and this may or may not relate to this person who's sent in this comment, is that sometimes we can be wanting to do things so well that we take a lot more time to do it, because we're looking to make sure it's done perfectly. That's very time consuming, and that can take a lot of your energy, and it can create a lot of stress. Perfectionism can cause a lot of stress. So we do need to be looking at a way around that. Okay? And there are ways around it. You know from my talk last week, my way around things like this is goal planning. And if we use goal planning effectively, you will achieve. You won't be perfect, because none of us are, but you will achieve. Okay. That's the end of our chat, my discussion with yourself. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've seen how the last 3 weeks now have intermingled the confidence, the goal planning, the motivation. And they all come together to create someone's mindset. Okay? What I'd like to finish on tonight is just to let you know, those of you who've seen the adverts on site will know, on the 2nd of June, we have a summit coming up. I've organised a summit. We will have, over 5 days, we will have 11 speakers from all over the world. We've got people from America, Australia, and the UK. Okay, talking about a range of topics which entrepreneurs will benefit from in order to help to develop their business. Because that's the aim for me, is to help entrepreneurs to develop their business. Okay, now then, it starts on the Monday the 2nd of June, and it finishes on Friday the 5th of June. And then the following week, we'll be releasing some interviews that I'll be doing with each of the speakers following their webinars. They won't be on air, but they will be released the following week. So there'll be a continuation, if you like, for the week after. Okay, so please go onto my site, go onto the Entrepreneur's Best Kept Secret site, look for this, sign up. It is going to be a fantastic week. It's going to be an exciting week, and we will all gain out of it. We'll all gain from each other and learn from each other. And please don't miss anything. You'll have a choice of topics. There may be some you want to listen to, some you're not sure of. But please, come on. And you only have to sign on once, and then you'll have access to all 11 speakers. Okay? So please come on, please sign up, and we'll see you there. And when you sign up, you will be asked if there's any questions that you would like to put to the individual speakers. So when I interview them, if people put questions forward, we will try and answer as many of those questions as possible with the speakers, and then you will hear the answers the following week when they are put on air, the following week after the summit. Okay, so we have a very exciting time coming up. You can see now why I'm so motivated, because this is very exciting, the fact that we've got such a quality range of speakers in the summit, giving their time to do the webinars and the interviews for you to listen to and for you to learn from. So thank you very much for being here tonight. It's been fab seeing you again. Please look out for my next hangout and join me then. Thank you very much.